大家好，我是康云. Hello everyone, I'm Kang Yun, and welcome back to Demon Souls. So this episode is going to be a weapon showcase of all of the boss weapons that you can make in Demon Souls. There are not that many, so this shouldn't be very long, but I would like to do a brief demonstration of each, showcasing each weapon's moveset and talking a little bit about each of them. So it might be longer than expected. I will do a second part to this, which includes all of the unique weapons that are upgraded with Colourless Demon Souls. In short, both of these videos together will combine to uh, be a showcase of all the quote-unquote trophy weapons. That is to say, the weapons that you needed to make or possess all of in order to obtain the what was it, like the Ultimate Knight's trophy or whatever. It was one of the hardest trophies to get in the original Demon Souls. That's not in this game, but I thought for tradition's sake I would showcase them all because I have them all finally. And we'll start out here with the Blue Blood Sword. Now I think several of these weapons I don't actually have the stats to wield properly, the Blue Blood Sword being one of them. This weapon is made with the Soul of Astraea, or the Pure Blood Demon Soul. It does both normal and pierce attack, like all straight swords. Interestingly enough, it is made with a broken sword, which you cannot upgrade, so it's pretty easy to make this once you get the soul. And this weapon actually scales, it doesn't show it here, but it scales with your luck stat, and I have only 8 luck. Luck is a pretty worthless stat to upgrade on any character unless you're specifically planning to make a Blue Blood Sword build, and I do realize that there was a glitch pertaining to the gold coins and getting like an insane amount of luck and having a brokenly overpowered Blue Blood Sword in the remake, but they seem to have fixed that. I don't know quite how that works, and I haven't encountered it. Luckily, I don't actually meet the requirements to wield this weapon properly because it requires 18 across the board: strength, dex, magic, and faith, and we only have 10 magic, so I'll do the proper amount of physical damage, but I will do lackluster magical damage. So while I can still wield it, I will not deal the full damage, so do not take these numbers as, you know, plus it's getting no scaling from that luck stat. Like I said, it has your basic straight sword moveset. Those are your one-handed R1s. This is your R2, and this is its two-handed. Just like the basic swords. The basic straight swords. Nothing different other than that it's longer and can be quite powerful. You can buff this. And if you encounter somebody using one of these, be prepared for a, I would say, a tough fight, because it will do a good amount of damage. You can buff it, and I will actually simultaneously showcase another weapon here. This is the Insanity Catalyst. It's hard to see. I wanted to come here because I have enemies to show, and I can get better lighting to show off. But this Insanity Catalyst is made from any catalyst you have using the Golden Monk's Soul, or the Golden Demon Soul, rather, that you get from the old monk. And I have an enchant weapon here just to showcase that you can buff it. And if you notice, my MP bar is halved. This catalyst is the strongest catalyst in the game and has a magic adjust of, where's that number? Is it displayed? It should be. I don't see it. It has a magic adjust of 149, I believe. It's cool that I can feel the weapon vibrating. I've actually not used enchant weapon before, but you'll see here. That the damage is 179 without the buff. And when I reapply it, 179, 164. So it gets minimal damage because I don't really meet the requirements of this catalyst. But yeah, this is the Blue Blood Sword and the Insanity Catalyst. I can show off the Insanity Catalyst a bit more here. I don't meet the requirements for it, as I said, so you won't see it do any sort of good damage, but I can show Fire Spray here. And you see I'm doing pitiful damage because of how weak it is from the lack of magic. I guess I should go over the stats. This requires 6 strength, which is not any build can use that, in 16 magic. It is good for hyper mages, and it particularly is good with that spell I was using, Flame Spray, because that spell, as you see, consumes very little stamina, comes out really fast, and because of the lack of MP you'll have from this weapon, it's good. And if you have a good setup, it's a good combination. So that is the Insanity Catalyst. We'll go back to my talisman. I'm slow rolling because I have those rings on to be able to carry all this stuff. The next weapon I'll show off is the Dozer Axe. This weapon is it overburdens me. There's a glitch, I think. If I remove this ring, I can still carry it. Yeah. So this is the Dozer Axe. This is a really cool axe. It's made from the Vanguard soul, the tutorial boss. It's a blunt axe, and it looks really cool in my opinion. And it does not have any scaling whatsoever. It requires 30 strength, but you can wield it if you have, I think it's 18 strength, maybe 19 you have to. You can wield it two-handed. This is a good weapon for low-level builds that just want to meet the minimum requirements, or if you have a Vitality Gouge build, because the attack rating is, it says does it say 188? 188, is that right? I don't know if that's correct. I thought it should be more. Do I know? Oh, I must know. Yeah, I think you need like 20 some strength to use this properly. So I'm not going to be doing much damage with this, but it has an attack rating of in the 300s if I remember properly, but it's the same moveset as, so even without the proper stats, I can still dish out good damage with this thing. It's the same moveset as the Great Axe and the Crescent Axe. You have your overhead slam, your rolling slam. You've seen me use the axes plenty of times in this game. It just looks really cool. It's Vanguard's axe, and it's good for, like I said, Vitality Gouge builds or low-level builds. You can buff it. I believe you can buff it. Let's just switch back to this talisman. Yeah, you can buff it. And yeah, this is the Dozer Axe, made with the Gray Demon Soul. To make this, you'll need that Gray Demon Soul, as well as any axe upgraded to +6. So the way in which I like to make this weapon early on And I've done playthroughs where I just literally use this axe the entire playthrough, pretty much. I you have it's dependent upon beating the Vanguard in the tutorial. And from there, you beat 1-1, obviously, and then you go right to Stonefang, get the Crushing Battle Axe, get the Melt Stone, go through Stonefang with that Crushing Battle Axe. You don't have to upgrade it. You can use a Mail Breaker from Boletaria to backstab the miners to take them out better, or the pickaxe if you want, and then use the Crushing Battle Axe with sticky white stuff to kill the Armored Spider, and then take it back to Ed, melt it back down to nothing or to basic, and then upgrade it to +6. Get it as high as you can, and then with the remaining sticky white stuff, use it to take out the Flame Lurker. Alternatively, you could go to the Valley of Defilement to get the Blessed Mace, which is really good at fighting the Flame Lurker. But once you have the Flame Lurker's soul, you can make this weapon, and then you have your weapon that is strong enough to carry you through the rest of the game, and all you have to level is Vitality and Endurance. And as long as you meet the requirements to two-hand it, you don't need to upgrade anything else. And you have a strong weapon. And it is good enough in New Game Plus. It will be outshined by weapons that will scale, but with the fact that you can buff it, and it still hits decently hard, it has knockback and knockdown, this is a pretty good weapon for a Vitality Gouge build that a lot of people seem to overlook. They tend to go to the Northern Regalia, which is more powerful, but it requires more stat investments. So that is the Dozer Axe. Moving on, let's see. Moving on, we have, I think the next one is the Large Sword of Searching, which we've encountered this in the wild. We've seen players using it. We can't use it. It requires 24 strength to one hand. We can two-hand it, and it requires 16 dex. It scales D in strength and D in dex. Overall, it's not great. It's the largest of the curved swords. It's also the heaviest, I believe. It weighs 8 units and requires quite a bit of faith. So if you're doing a dex build, you're probably not going to want to use this weapon. But if you're a strength build and want to use a curved sword, this actually isn't a bad weapon. And I think you can buff it, or can you not? Maybe you can't, or do I not have enough? No, you cannot buff this weapon. Okay, but it does. It has the unique effect that it increases your item find. I don't know if that's displayed. Yeah, 64, and when I unequip it, it's down to 31. So I've not actually really used any curved swords in this playthrough that I can recall, but I do meet the requirements for it, and it's very fast, has good range. I can one-shot these enemies with it. So, you know, it has the standard curved sword moveset. Those slashes and that cool flip move. It looks really cool. It used to be like a purplish blue, and it might still be that, but it looks almost like it's black to me. Like it's like a blackish, charred blue, purple. It's hard to tell. It's pretty dark. We'll see if we can't see it in here. It looks black to me. But yeah, this is the Large Sword of Searching. A lot of players tend to not really use this weapon other than for wanting to increase their item find if they're farming. I never found that it was that useful in this game. but it might be. So yeah, you make this with the old hero's soul, and you know, if you've watched my playthrough, I made this sword with the claws and then tried to trade it to the crows for the providential ring, and did not work, so I had to go and make another one. So this is the one I made with the claws originally, which I did make two, so I did keep one, which is cool. So yeah, that's the large sword of searching. The next boss weapon is actually a bow. It's the lava bow, which is um, made with the armored spider's soul, the hard demon soul, and you need. Oh, I forgot to say, the large sword of searching requires you to upgrade a claw or curved sword weapon to +8. The Dozer Axe is any axe weapon to +6. The Blue Blood Sword is a broken sword. The Insanity Catalyst is obviously just a catalyst. So the Lava Bow requires you to upgrade any bow other than the white bow, because that's a unique weapon. So the short bow, long bow, compound short bow, compound long bow, any one of those 4 bows upgraded to +7. And with the Armored Spider Demon Soul, you can make the Lava Bow, which the Lava Bow is a cool bow. It gets minimal magic scaling, very minimal, and some weak strength and dex scaling. So this is a bow for basically builds who don't have, you know, maybe a bow for bow users who don't have a ton of strength to get scaling. But if you notice that it does 100 fire damage, and that fire damage scales with your magic stats. So this might be a decent bow for magic magic users. And it's especially good if you equip it with fire arrows, which I don't have any fire arrows, but it will do fire damage regardless of the arrows you have. So we can just showcase that here. And it looks pretty cool when you shoot with it, because, like I said, you get that fire effect. Does it show its range? It should, yeah, 55 as opposed to 60 on the compound longbow +5. The quality compound longbow +5, I should say. If you make a bow sticky with spider stone, you get an extra 5 in range. So I think this bow would be 65, and I believe the white bow has the longest range. So the range is a bit lower, and the weight is the same. It has higher durability, 400. And like I said, it has that physical and fire combination damage. So yeah, that's the lava bow. It looks really cool. I do like the redesign, and you see the arrow is fire coming off of it. Yeah. So that's the lava bow. And the next weapon is the meat cleaver. The meat cleaver is made with the adjudicator or the swollen demon soul, and you can make this weapon very easily because it doesn't require you to upgrade a weapon. All you need to do is get a basic club or large club, and you can use an axe or other axe, I believe, as well. But if you use an axe, you have to upgrade it to +6, so it's most often just you can just use a club because you can't upgrade a club. You can just use a club, and it scales S in strength, S in dex, and A in faith. So this is a really powerful weapon. I believe, yeah, I can two-hand it. It's treated as an axe type weapon, and it does do both physical and magic damage. So if you have a faith build with a good amount of strength and dex, or you're a quality build and you want to get... most quality builds will have 16 faith for second chance, so you'll meet that requirement. You won't get much magic scaling from it, but this thing will still hit hard regardless. And if you make some sort of dedicated meat cleaver build, this is a very strong weapon, and it can be buffed. So I'll showcase how strong it is. It's unfortunate we can't see the numbers, like I was saying. But you know, it's got the same moveset as the axes. You got your, but it has a different sound, I noticed. And it has a pretty long range. Oh wow, look at that cool AoE effect when you slam it down. Does it have that same effect with the axe? No, it doesn't. That's unique to this weapon, it seems. Watch when I roll. That pound and that poof of dust that comes out. That is really cool. That is really cool. It looks beautiful. Well, it looks terrifying. And you can buff it, like I said, so it makes it even better. And what is the attack rating on this thing? 428. You know, another thing I forgot to mention is boss weapons cannot be upgraded. And the knockback effect is present on the one-handed R1. We'll try to knock this guy down. Yeah, knocked him back. So yeah, the meat cleaver is a popular weapon. It's quite strong. It's both a strength and dex weapon, but it plays like a strength weapon for all practical purposes. But it benefits from faith as well, and in fact requires faith to use properly. Now the thing about weapons like this is if you don't meet the requirement for the faith, you could still use this, you just won't get the magic damage from it. As I sort of displayed with the blue blood sword, I don't meet the magic requirements, but I can still get the physical damage from it. So yeah, that's the meat cleaver. Really strong weapon. Fun to mess around with. Weighs 10 units, pretty heavy. And the next weapon is a weapon that I've been carrying on me, and I've never actually really used it, but it's the Morian Blade. Now this weapon, as I've explained before, is not typically used for its damage. It's not very strong. It has 210 attack rating, which isn't terrible. It's treated as a large sword, so it has the large sword moveset. I don't know if I've ever encountered anybody using one of these, just like using it as their main weapon, because its property comes in the fact that it gives you a 60% attack boost when your HP is 30% or below. So it's used for hyper mode, and you'll see most people putting this in their offhand, and or putting it, you know, they have it on their back. It doesn't scale at all. It requires 14 strength, 14 dex, but that's a moot point. You don't need to meet the requirements to get the effect, and this weapon is almost exclusive. In fact, I would say pretty much exclusively used for its effect, which I guess I could try and display. I don't think you can buff it. Yeah, you cannot buff this weapon. So I can't really properly display its effects, but you've seen me use it before, because you won't be able to see. You won't be able to see. I guess. I'll just let this guy attack me until I get low enough. Yeah, now I should be able to one-shot him. 231. Before I was two-shotting him, so its attack goes from, what was it, 210? Now its attack rating is 336. So, you know, it could be fun if you combine it with the Rat's Ring. you know, if I put the Clever Rat's ring on, now my attack is 405, right? And so this is, you know, played like that, the sword can be really powerful. But a lot of times, you know, if you have a main weapon, like why use that when I could equip a proper weapon like look at this. The Blessed Mirrodin hammer goes to 967. The uh the the Blessed Great Axe goes to 1325. I mean, that's insane. The thing is about blessed weapons is they will restore my HP very quickly, so I can't stay in hyper mode for very long. So hyper mode is actually counterintuitive to how faith builds work with the HP regen. So it's not typically used on faith builds. But yeah, this is the Morian Blade, and you don't see it used in the wild as an actual weapon to attack with, but it can be done, and I think it would be fun sometime to actually do a playthrough where you use this weapon as a legit weapon and just like take advantage of the fact that when you get low HP, it suddenly gets an attack boost, because it's not like terrible damage, it's just nothing really impressive. And speaking of terrible damage, oh, I forgot to say, this weapon, the Morian Blade is made with any short sword or straight sword rather upgraded to +8. So the easiest weapon, because the way weapon upgrades work in Demon Souls, the smaller the weapon typically, the less stones it takes to upgrade them. So usually when you're making these, you want to use ones that take less stones to upgrade, or especially weapons like that you can buy or get easily. So you could just buy a short sword from Blacksmith Baldwin, upgrade it to +8, and then you use the Storm King Soul, the Storm, or I think it's the Storm Soul, Storm Demon Soul, to make this. It's supposed to resemble the stingers that they shoot at you. And the next weapon, and speaking of terrible damage, is the Needle of Eternal Agony. This is the worst weapon in the game. It's honestly, I think, is a joke weapon or a troll weapon, but it's not even a troll weapon. I think it's a troll weapon in the sense that the developers trolled the player by making it, and it's made with the Man-Eater's soul. The twins, or the I forget what the name of that soul was. The mixed demon soul. This is classified as a rapier type. It requires 20 dex and 20 magic, which is ridiculous, and it does, look at that damage. It does 60 damage and gets no scaling. So if you're looking at a weapon that will do 60 damage, and I don't meet the requirements to use it, because why would I? And it's just a small little weapon that has it's got a rapier's moveset, which is weird because it's not shaped like a rapier, it's like a hook. But apparently it's a needle, and we're getting 20 damage with the rat ring. So let me take that off. And now we'll see its true damage, 13. So let me just heal up, because I do want to showcase this stuff, and I don't meet the requirements. You cannot buff this weapon. But let me try to get an enemy. Here, come over here. The only thing that this weapon does, and its only gimmick, is that for every hit you land, you get 20 souls. So I don't know how that would ever really be useful to somebody, but like, let's see how long it takes for me to kill this thing. Four damage. I mean, I do 1 damage per hit. Like, whenever would this be useful? I don't know. Like, it's just complete trash. And even if you meet the requirements, this isn't gonna do any sort of damage. You'll probably do like 10 damage. I'd be, you know. You can just, like, this isn't even fun to troll players with, because it's not like you're taking souls from... You're not taking souls from the opponent. You're just getting souls. Like, I don't know. Maybe you want to, if you're, like, for whatever reason, want to buy grass and you go attack the Maiden in Black for some souls to buy some grass from patches or something, or you're short. Like, but even then, it's not like... It's even... Ooh, I put it in the wrong hand. It's not like, by the time you make this, you're ever going to be in that sort of opportunity, or be in that position. 7 damage. I mean, it's ridiculous that I'm actually trying to kill an enemy with this thing. But I just want to display how bad this is. I know I don't meet the requirements, but trust me, this would not be any much better if I did meet those requirements. It would, because it doesn't have any scaling. So it would just be doing 60 damage. Well, it have an AR of 60. Yeah, so this, if you're gonna, like, there's objectively best weapon in the game. It's hard to place one down, but I feel like we can easily say that this is probably the worst weapon in the game. You might make an argument for the crossbows, but crossbows at least will do some kind of damage, and you can hit players from range. And you don't need to go through the this guy is gonna take me out. There we go. We finally killed that enemy. We got, I don't know how many souls from doing so, because of how crappy this thing is. You make this thing with a rapier or a dagger, and you have to upgrade said rapier or dagger to +7. So, because of the fact that you have to do that and use a boss soul to make this, I think makes this worse than any of the crossbows, or worse than maybe even a broken sword, because that stuff, the broken sword at least can be made into a blue blood sword. And I bet you the blue blood, the broken sword probably does better damage than this. I'll maybe test that out, but yeah. This thing is trash, guys. The Needle of Eternal Agony. So it's, in my opinion, just a joke weapon that they basically made you beat one of the hardest bosses in the game, and you're like, oh, what do I get for this boss's soul? The joke's on you. You get like a worthless weapon. So yeah, that's the Needle of Eternal Agony, guys. Aptly named, I'd say. And the next weapon, going from one of the like worst weapons, this weapon is, you know, objectively one of the best weapons in the game. I have the counterpart, or one part of it, the Demon Brand here, and the weapon in question is the Northern Regalia. So I've showed this weapon before. It's made from the False King Demon Soul. You can only make this weapon in New Game Plus. It has fairly high requirements, 20 strength to one hand, 14 dex, 12 magic, and 12 faith. I do not meet the magic requirements, but I can two-hand this and still get good damage because it will do the full physical, and it will get a penalty from the lack of magic. But this thing scales with either pure black or pure white character tendency. So because I have pure white, it's getting an attack rating of 329. If I met that magic requirement, this thing would be, I think, in around like over 400, maybe almost 500. I can't remember, but I can show you guys here just how strong this thing is. Oh, it has the basic large sword move set. Nothing crazy. Same as the Morian Blade, same as the other two swords that make it. Overhead slam. You'll see this a lot in PvP. This is a good weapon for any build that can wield it. You know, so you can make short work of enemies with this. If I had the proper stats, I could one-shot these enemies. Yeah, the Northern Regalia. Good for low-level builds, good for Vit Gouge builds, just good all around if you can you wield this weapon. I like it. It looks really cool, but it's not a sword I tend to use that much, just for the sake of it being so popular. And I tend to, I don't know, not that I don't like using popular weapons, I just have my own preferences, and it's just not a sword that suits my personal tastes for a lot of things. But that's not to say I don't like using it, and I've definitely, you know, for my, because I can wield this, because you see this one doesn't require magic and has lower strength and dex requirements. So the demon brand is actually pretty good for my build, and has an attack rating of 480. So I'm pretty sure this would be over 500 if I met the proper requirements for this. It would be, yeah, it would be, that number would be 135 plus 135, so it would be 540 is its max attack damage, or max AR, 540, yeah. So yeah, that's the Northern Regalia. And that leaves us with one other weapon on the list, which I have already shown you guys before as well. That's the Scraping Spear. It's a made from the soul of the Phalanx. This is the Scraping Spear we see right here. It's the weapon that it throws at you and doesn't have. This is a troll weapon. It's not very powerful. 150. It doesn't. It does scale, I guess, but so I guess if you have a high dex, it could do some decent damage, but it's weaker than any other spear. It's main, and it requires 15 strength, 15 dex. You need to upgrade a spear to +7 to make it. And yeah, it, as I said in the past, does durability damage for every hit you land, but that does not apply to enemies in PvP or PvE. It's basically only useful. Its effect is only useful in PvP. I mean, I've played through the game and used this weapon as like a weapon, you know, because it's very capable. You can use it. I have a build that I used, you know. I just wanted to use most of the weapons, and I've played through entire levels, like late game, new game plus levels, using the Scraping Spear. As you can see here, it's not that strong, so it's gonna get me killed. It has the same move set as all the other spears. You've seen me use the Istarel. This thing has better range. Has that double R1, that long thrust. You have your blocking pokes you can do. Yeah, so this is the scraping spear. If you see one of these, take off your armor. I mean in PvP. Not any sort of, you know, powerhouse weapon. Mostly a troll weapon. Fun to use for that in that regard. Not fun to fight against. It looks cool, I'll say that. So that about wraps it up, guys. This was all what are they all 10 of the boss weapons in Demon Souls. Just to do a short recap, you have the Scraping Spear, you have the Lava Bow, the Insanity Catalyst, the Needle of Eternal Agony, the Blue Blood Sword, the Morian Blade, Northern Regalia, the Large Sword of Searching, the Dozer Axe, and the Butcher's Knife. So, would like to do some PvP videos using the weapons that I can use in PvP, sort of display how useful they are. I'll see if one of my friends wants to help me do that, or I might just, you know, try doing some invasions myself, or not, or you know, getting invaded and fighting invaders with these, just to show that how capable or incapable the weapons are. Most of the weapons here I'm not really spec'd out for, but it's okay. So let me know what your favorite weapon among these are. Do you use any of these? Why? Why not? And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Umbasa.